Well, good morning. It's the I Stand Correct podcast. I wake up first thing, I think the cognitive dissonance is real. Why am I doing this? Why do I get out of bed? It's probably not a good idea for me to do this podcast first thing in the morning. I should probably do like three things first. How's everybody feeling? Everybody have a good weekend? We're all set up for the Super Bowl. It's hilarious. If you pay attention to the storylines, Sam Darnold a few years ago got chased out of New York when he was playing for the Jets after he had a bad game against the Patriots. He was confused, saying he was seeing ghosts on the field. Everyone thought he was washed right from the start. The Jets, of course, spent a third overall pick on Sam Darnold, only for him to not ever really work out there. And of course, the idea that Drake May, quarterback for the Patriots, is playing before he's even the same age as Tom Brady's first start makes us all shudder. So let's talk some politics. I wake up this morning and, I go do my manly thing that I got to do in the morning. And I see that President is sending Tom Homan to Minnesota to deal with the situation there. There's violence and death continues to be the result of interference with police activity, which is, of course, being done in accordance with Title 8 of the U.S. Code as established in 1952, a law we've had in the books for 70 years, but for some reason we're only willing to protest now. He's sending Tom Homan. Who is Tom Homan? Well, Tom Homan is his top ICE guy. I'm going to show you a picture of Tom Homan. Are you confused by this? Here is President Barack Obama giving Tom Homan an award, Presidential Award for Excellence in doing his job in deporting people. In other words, Tom Homan had the highest score for deportations under President Obama. They still call him the deporter in chief, if you didn't know that. He gets called the deporter in chief. So Tom Homan, an excellent guy. Barack Obama said he did a great job. Trump gets in, says, well, who's the guy that can deport the most people? And he sees it's actually Barack Obama's guy. And for some reason, people who are getting their hands shot off, people who are getting shot by ICE for reaching for weapons, people who are getting shot by ICE after they point their cars at people. For some reason, they were not protesting Barack Obama and Tom Homan, who were doing all these very same things back in 2015, I think is when this picture was taken, or when this award was given. Maybe it was before that. Whatever. The point is that the same guy that's being deployed by President Trump as of this morning to Minnesota, nobody had a problem with him when he was Barack Obama's boy. What do you think that means? You have to wonder what it means when we are doing that. Barack Obama's ICE chief received an award for removing 920,000 people. And we're calling Donald Trump's ICE chief the big N word. I guess that gets you deplatformed on YouTube. But it's the same person. In 2012, that's the year that I meant, he deported 409,000 people. In 2025, he deported 290,000 people. The difference is mainstream media brainwashing, which I hear you, which when you hear someone say mainstream media brainwashing, you don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. But the truth is that the difference between 2012 and right now, the only real difference is Obama was popular with the media and Trump is not. That's it. The exact same thing was going on in 2012, and there was no riots. No one was upset about it. Nobody cared. Nobody took note. Nobody even knew who Tom Homan was in 2012. And I think it's sad because people are going out there and they're getting hurt for a cause that they believe in, that their own favorite president didn't believe in. I've talked before about how this law has been on the books since 1952, and there's always been a certain degree of apathy by the part of the Democrat Party about changing it, because it's a hostage issue for them. What I mean by hostage issue is that it's something that they want to be able to hold their own constituents hostage with when it comes to election time. They didn't change the law. They had the chance to. Congress and the president had the chance to change Section 8 of the U.S. Code, Title 8 of the U.S. Code. Could have changed it so that undocumented immigration was not a criminal issue. They could have made it a civil issue so that we sue people and just tie people up in court, and it was not a matter for law enforcement to get involved in. They could have made it that way. That way we still had leverage to eject people from the country, but it wasn't going to be a police matter. They never did that. Why? So that they could threaten you, Democrats, at election time, saying, if you don't vote for me, the Republican who takes my place in this office will deport people en masse. And I was recently called a coward in a social media post, which I am successfully winding down on. As you all know, my goal for this year is to be less involved on social media. And all I could say to the guy was, cowardice is lacking the moral fiber to act. And in this country, we've had this law since 1952, and we've been ignoring it. So I guess that's where the cowardice has been all this time. And you say it's cowardly to ignore what's going on, and refusal to intervene is cowardly. Well, it's been the law of the land. It's been the will of the people since 1952. Why is it a problem now? The answer is it's Donald Trump. And if you try to hold these people down, hold them accountable for the fact that they're only in the year of our Lord, 2026, protesting a law that's been on the books since before their parents were born, they don't have anything to say about that. It's never about rational thought, though. So let's see who's in the chats. Tyler's here, a resident Canadian, ironically. I found out a new reason to hate Canada this weekend. Apparently, they euthanized an old woman against her will, which we call murder in the United States. Tyler, I know you're not responsible for that, but Canada really ought to be ashamed of murdering people. That video with all the past presidents being for it and Trump's expressions was hilarious. I didn't see that one. He did. John would know better. I forget what teams he went on to with the Patriots. So I think I enjoyed Tom Brady was his roast. I didn't even watch his roast. Tom Brady is retired. Okay. Oh, you guys are actually discussing that for some reason. Very strange. Would you guys want me to bring back the sports show? Keith always threatens me with it all the time. David always jumps in to say why he can't stay, although I haven't seen him in a long time. He is in pure form again. Salamander's in the shower. Jenny is here as well. So good morning to everyone. Let's just keep going with the memes. I've got the Homan stuff off of my chest. That the insanity about Tom Homan and the insanity about protesting ICE when really sorry, but as a strict matter of the law, the president is supposed to enforce federal law. That's his job. That's constitutionally devised. That statement I just made, it wasn't something that I pulled out of my ass. Federal law is deport these people. So Donald Trump, in a sense, other than Barack Obama, is really the first president to go and do his job as defined by federal law, as made by the people, and he's being painted badly for it. And it just makes me sad because people are willing to go out there and get hurt for it, and it's a cause that they're getting hurt for that they shouldn't. And it goes back to the hippies. They would protest and do all these things. They didn't like the laws of the land, whether it was legitimate or illegitimate. And protesting is fine, but it's like you really need to change the law, not break the law. You have a remedy in this country. but they like the attention. They like going out and feeling oppressed, saying, "Do you see the violence inherent in the system? Do you see me being oppressed?" When they can stay at home and they can vote for change when the time comes. And it's, for all the misery that Minnesota has was brought down upon them. It's a city that's absolutely destroying itself at record pace, much faster than Detroit or Los Angeles, anywhere else. That city has gone to hell in 10 years. I can personally attest to that. And it's because they're getting what they want there in Minnesota. There's a documentary. If you need to watch it, if you need to hear more than just me telling you that Minnesota sucks, it's called, I believe, Precarious State is the documentary, where it talks about how Minneapolis has two socialist members of its city council, and the rest of the city council is Democrats. There's not a single Republican on there. And the socialists, of course, are anti-business, which Democrats typically are not. But because the Democrats constantly vote in lockstep with the socialists, socialism has effectively taken administrative control of Minneapolis. And that's why businesses are leaving. That is why crime and violence is on the rise. And that is why you see violence in the streets. And it is a major U.S. city. And I predict that before I die, we will see the Minnesota Vikings relocate, because what the hell is the interest of the Minnesota Vikings in staying in a city like Minneapolis? It's unusual that a major league team, at least for the NFL, is actually in the city that it proclaims to represent. Think about it. The Dallas Cowboys, they're not even actually located in Dallas. They're located in Arlington, you know. The New York Giants, New York Jets, they're not in New York. They're not even in the state of New York. They're in New Jersey. But literally, the Minnesota Vikings, which could be based anywhere in Minnesota, are based right there in Minneapolis in a brand new stadium. And I would be shocked if I did not see them relocate at some point, if not elsewhere in Minnesota, then to California or something. I don't know. But it's shocking, the deterioration that's going on there. It's sad. This is a holdover meme from last week, just as a reminder. When someone says they're too busy or they don't have time for you, remember that MLK led a whole movement and still found time to cheat on Coretta Scott King. That was a busy man. And he still found time to get all that done. Canadian patriot, of all things. We need to compete with China, the rising world power. Well, how do we do that? Well, we admit an infinity number of immigrants for the most dysfunctional places in the world and dismantle our own culture and our own identity. Wow, is that what China's doing so that they can succeed? No, they are doing the opposite of that. So China is not allowing the destruction of their own cultural identity, the destruction of their own nation by the admission of mass numbers of people. We've got to compete with them, though. So let's make sure we do the exact opposite. Also, something I wish I had a meme for, but I just don't. So I'm just going to tell you in the most boring fashion. Lots of people out there right now posting on social media. Greenland is for Greenlanders. This because they don't want the United States to take over administrative control, to annex Greenland, to take it by force or by sail. They also don't want Denmark to be in control of Greenland. They feel like the native people of Greenland who are there do not want to be controlled by a large government from afar, which would be Denmark. I can relate to that. We didn't like having a big government controlling us from afar in the form of England. But I implore you that whenever you see Greenland is for Greenlanders throughout the next week or months or however long it will take for this to become a unpopular thing to talk about, every time you see Greenland is for Greenlanders, if you feel this way, please reply, and America is for Americans. You cannot have the attitude that Greenland ought to be for Greenlanders and also America is for everyone. It doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter that those two ideas are incongruent, because there's already an incongruency between America is for everyone, but we live on stolen lands. Somehow we stole this land from Native Americans, but it cannot be stolen from us somehow. Makes no sense. Anyway, Greenland has a population of 56,000. Americans should send 100,000 undocumented immigrants to culturally enrich the island. We could just send Americans there. All we have to send is 100,000. That's not even that many people. As soon as we have full voting rights as citizens there, like what these people have in America, we will have a referendum on leaving Denmark for America. We'll simply change the politics of the government of Greenland by going there, by achieving voting rights, even though it's illegal for us to go to Greenland, and then we will just change the policy of Greenland from within. There's nothing wrong with this, because the replacing populations to change the voting demographics is a myth. That's not going on in Europe. That's not going on in the United States. How could it go on in Greenland? We already talked about Tom Homan, that absolute champion. White people, is this what it's really like? Apparently, Xavier de Rousseau wants to know if this is how it is for us. If a white person moves out, that's white flight. That's racism. If a white person moves in, that's gentrification, which is racism. If a white person sees color, that's racism. If a white person doesn't see color, that's ignoring racism, which is racism. If a white person doesn't partake in culture, that's not inclusive. That's racism. And if a white person engages in culture, that's cultural appropriation, which is racism. Xavier, yes, this is exactly what it means to be a white person, that no matter what you do, and no matter what you don't do, you are a racist. Why is this one included in the political memes? I think this one is actually from a few years ago. I don't think it's from today, but it is extremely cold right now. I'm close enough to Minneapolis to tell you that it's very, very, very cold. Pasta freezes in midair as Minneapolis reaches a low of minus 21. That's air temp, and a wind chill of minus 45 degrees on Friday. It's possible that this is from this past Friday. It was very, very cold on Friday. So this is explaining climate change to an Italian. But why do I show this in the political part? If we have people going out right now and fighting ICE agents and getting hurt and getting shot, and it's minus 21, minus 20, minus 10, minus 5, 0 degrees. If this is what's happening when it's too cold and only the most insane people are going out to brave the cold weather, do you have any idea what this summer is going to be like? And when I say this summer, I don't mean 6 months from now. I mean 3 months from now, 4 months from now, when it's finally warm enough outside that all your moderates are going to go outside and protest. There's a large number of people out on the streets right now in Minneapolis, and they're the truly the most insane, but they're going to be joined soon by the moderates. And I'm just talking about weather moderates, okay? So as our spaghetti begins to thaw, you're going to see violence and destruction on a level that I'm sure will surpass 2020. So sell your stocks in Minneapolis. If you have loved ones there, tell them to move away, because it is going to get much, much, much worse. All right, let's move on to some fun memes. This would taste so much better if I'd spent the day swimming instead of working. There is something better about a basic sandwich and chips that just tastes better after a day at the pool. What is that? Can someone quantify that? Can we investigate that? Instead of trying to make our frogs gay, can we figure out why sandwiches taste better after going to the pool? The devil shivers when a white boy steps out into the frigid winter air in his basketball shorts. I was taking my dog to the chiropractor. That's right. My dog has better medical care than I do. And a guy came out of a wing store, and he was wearing basketball shorts. And it was the high temp that day was -8. I remember because I was wearing all of my clothes. I was completely padded out. And I told the chiropractor, I said, I know you make your living with your hands, but I want you to punch me as hard as you can, because I wanted to see if I could even feel it. This guy comes out of the wing shop with basketball shorts on, and it's just like, are you too lazy to get dressed? It has to be that, because I understand being in a hurry, just coming from the gym and being in shorts when the weather's cold. I'll even do that. The cold would feel good on sore muscles. But at -8, your tissue will die. Okay. You will lose toes. So I guess you just live real close by or something. But what are you doing? Are you trying to impress me? Are you trying to make the devil shiver when you do that? It's always the white people too. Never judge a book by its cover is an extremely old and effective psyop. Stereotype accuracy is one of the most replicated findings in social psychology. There's a reason why these stereotypes exist. They weren't made up out of nothing. We came up with a heuristic, a mental shortcut that was based off of repeated sample analysis of the human race. Let's see what people have to say. Greenland seems like a harsh place to live. Did you see the meme where Trump's like, "Oh, I meant Iceland" this entire time? Because Greenland and Iceland get mixed up. Iceland is the one that's green, and Greenland is the one that's icy. So he actually meant to threaten and buy Iceland this entire time. Whoops! This whole time he was talking about Iceland, and all of a sudden Iceland's like, I bet Iceland wonders if he means Iceland, and they're just like, "Don't say anything." 2018, I did an apprenticeship competition in Minnesota, and we rented out the Viking Stadium, and I got to try and kick a field goal. I have also been in the Viking Stadium. It looks like that ship, the crawler that the Sand People on Tatooine use. It's really a stark architecture. I find it funny that Iowa is trying to buy the southern counties of Minnesota, and Minnesota is thinking about allowing it. They were also, I know that some other counties, Rock County, Pipestone County, Lincoln County, some of these places were also interested in leaving Minnesota and going to South Dakota. They talk about it. They talk about this going on in Oregon and Washington too. That states in the eastern part of those states that don't want to be associated with the liberal politics of the coast, they want to leave and join Idaho. There is some precedent for it. I know during the Civil War, there were some counties, I believe in Mississippi, that seceded from the state of Mississippi. When Mississippi seceded from the Union, when they left the United States to join the Confederacy, there were some counties that would be like, really, I think this is a bit too extreme. We're going to leave Mississippi. But of course, because you're a county and you don't have that many people there, nobody cares. I don't think, and Mississippi had bigger fish to fry with fighting the United States. I don't think anybody cared that there were some counties in Mississippi that seceded. So, I mean, like, it's hypothetically possible, but you have to remember it all comes down to money. And status quo politics. You got to remember that these counties form congressional districts, state congressional districts, and these people will never want to give up their power. Can you imagine that a congressional district in southern Minnesota, all of a sudden that person's like, well, your congressional district is now in another state. So instead of driving to St. Paul to do legislation, have to drive to Des Moines, it's all about money, power, and the status quo. So I don't think it'll ever happen. I think it ought to be allowed, to be honest with you. I think if you are, I don't even think you necessarily have to be a border county. If you think about it, we have reservations in this country that are completely surrounded on all sides by a state, and they claim to be sovereign. They claim to be separate from the state. The fact that they couldn't survive without the state, if we built a wall around these reservations, and these people would die from a siege, in what sense are they sovereign? But I think if you're a county and I think you want to secede and join another state, I think you ought to be allowed to do that. I think that's federalism at its best. I think that's a level of federalism that this country would never hope to achieve. But I think it would be great if all the people in one county said, like, we don't agree with the laws of the state. It doesn't represent us, and we're joining another state. I would love that. That just means that people get the government that they want. But it'll never happen. What else is going on? Can we have a vote to give Minnesota to Canada, whether they want it or not? I see a lot of people saying we should exchange Minnesota for Alberta. Unfortunately, the GDP of Minnesota, despite the fraud, is still much higher than Alberta. So again, if it's a money game, we're not going to exchange Minnesota for Alberta. Plus, can you imagine how wonky the maps would be after that? Alberta would have to become the New Zealand of states where, yes, they're technically one of our states, but we never show them on one of our maps. Uh, Good conservative people in Alberta. Hmm. They have a little flag that comes out with a bang written on it. Oh, is that the Greenland Army? I wouldn't be surprised. I made a cheddar jalapeno sourdough. This, apropos of nothing, I'm gonna have to like institute a new rule that if you're talking to me, you need to start it with my name in capital letters, John. That way, I don't start reading random comments about sourdoughs. If you want me to read it, your comment on the air, start it with John in capital letters. Iowa does not want anything to do with Minnesota. I could not blame you for that. People are making sandwiches. All right, moving on. We talked about effective psyops, judging books by its cover. When something really bad happens, I am strong. I will get through this. When I am mildly inconvenienced, when will God kill me with lightning? This is how I feel at work a lot whenever something really terrible happens. We got a tornado, we got a blizzard, we got cars driving off, going into ditches. A lot of terrible things happening at once. I actually get kind of zen because I know that there's nothing that I can do to fix the situation except respond. I answer the phone, I dispatch the police, I ask if they're hurt, I send the ambulance, and I just keep rolling. There's nothing I can do. But if the shift is going well and there's not much going on, and then like some stuff happens, it's just so much more annoying. I'm mildly inconvenienced. That's when like a cop wants me to run a license plate for me. But like, first of all, how dare you? It's actually so much worse than just having a full-on terrible day at work. I would never let a philosopher bother me. Let us imagine a trolley. No, I don't have to do that. You're not the philosopher of me. Anytime I say talk to you later, it can either be later today or later in life. It will be a surprise for both of us. If you're not following Maddie McMeme, you probably should. A Taco Bell night shift guy that calls me boss cares about me as a person, and it's deeper than tacos. I remember one time I was probably within the time frame I was doing the show, but I rolled up through a Taco Bell at 1 a.m. Welcome to Taco Bell. How are you doing tonight? And I said, I'm good. How are you? And he's just like, oh man. I'm just like, maybe don't ask the Taco Bell guy at 1 a.m. how he's doing. Because unless he's completely locked in to say, good, go ahead and order whenever you're ready, he was feeling reflective, and I tapped into that. I don't think that he wanted to go on. And I remember when I ordered, then I rolled around and I said, so what's going on with you? And he just told me some stuff about his life, and it just wasn't good. And I said, well, man, I'm real sorry that's what you're going through, and I hope things get better. He's like, you have a good night, boss. We dared to have a human encounter at Taco Bell, and some people would call it unprofessional. Some people would be uncomfortable with that intimacy, the Taco Bell intimacy. But I don't know. I felt like I connected to another human being, and I didn't have the balls to say this. So like, and I don't remember exactly what his problems were, but it's like, oh man, so your girlfriend is breaking up with you, and your mom won't return your calls, and your car won't start, and the rent's due, and you're working at Taco Bell. I didn't say that because I'm like, just hand the guy a gun at that point. Sorry, I can't come home tonight. I haven't had my 6 hours of alone time yet. That's about where I am. I need the 6 hours of alone time. I've got to have that. Me, I will make an omelet. Flips the omelet, fail. I will make scrambled eggs. I'm trying to understand the value of an omelet. I just last month or the month before, it was December, I was making some omelets. And I made some of the most pristine and delicate and beautiful omelets of my entire life, thanks to using a griddle and a rather large, clean spatula, but that was made out of metal. Don't ever use a plastic spatula, by the way. And I was like, why don't I make omelets more often? It's like, because it's a lot more work and it's essentially the same thing as scrambled eggs. I mean, I don't make scrambled eggs with milk or anything. I just make them with butter. So you put down the butter and then you make the omelet. What's the difference? I don't know. I'm someone that won't put the time and effort and energy just into myself. So that's probably why I never have an omelet. Yeah, sex is cool, but have you ever read a book and then spent days reading it? And when you finish, you get this weird, sad, melancholic ache in your heart, and you don't know what to do with your life now, and it's over, and you wish you could read it for the first time again because you loved it that much. Yes. There's so many books that I feel this way about that I wish I could read it for the first time and experience it for the first time. Probably The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I read it every year. But every year I wish I was experiencing it for the first time because the way that it hits you the first time is so different. The problem is that with repeated reads, you come to understand it more. And I'm even at the point now when I'm reading the book, I know what's on the next page um, because I've read it so many times, and it doesn't quite have that same punch reading it the first time, but um, not only that, but like certain writers, like I'm loath to continue to read their works because I don't ever want it to get to the point where I've read every single thing that they've written. I don't ever want to get to the end. Um, I used to feel that way about Stephen King, that a Stephen King book would come out. I'm like, I'm not going to read that. And the reason for that would be not that I'm not interested in reading it, but because I don't want to complete the entire bibliography of Stephen King. I don't want there to be nothing left. I don't feel that way about him anymore because the personal political stuff with Stephen King has overwhelmed his talent at this point. But I used to not want to read authors for that reason, and it's kind of that way with Cormac McCarthy. There's a few books of his that I won't read because I just don't ever want to read the whole thing. You, let's get this bread. That's what I said to myself on Saturday night as I went to go do my overtime shift. And then JD Salinger, an intellectual, let's catch this rye. I'm pretty sure that's not what catcher in the rye means. Reading fanfics is so fun. I wish romantic attraction was real. It's not, though. Never experienced that. Hey, Talia. It's good to see you. Again, all comments that are to be read by me should be started with my name. Otherwise, I don't know to read them. I once pulled up at a Taco Bell. Person asks me for my order, and I say, just 1 second, please. I quickly decide to say, ma'am. The reply was, I'm a guy. Immediately pulled off. He left. You know what's really weird? I get called ma'am on the phone a lot. I think it's because people know that they're supposed to use an honorific on the phone, ma'am or sir, but then they just default to ma'am for some reason. I don't think it's because they assume I sound like a woman. But I hear a lot of people like say, that's correct, ma'am. And I'm just like, I don't say anything. I'm like, oh, sir, sorry. I'm just like, can we get on with it? I don't have time to correct you. I'm surprised your book isn't The Dead Zone. Why do you say that? I would say that's probably one of my favorite Stephen King books, but I don't think that it ranks, that high all time. I loved fried eggs, but my stomach doesn't like them anymore. Part of the reason for this is that the book succeeds in making you feel empathy for a failed political assassin, which I think is amazing. It's a kind of an amazing trick to pull off. To feel sympathy for that kind of a person, because a presidential assassin or a political assassin is one thing, but a failed political assassin is another. Like, you are truly a loser if you fail to kill a political target. Nobody cares about those people. But it just became too real, I guess, with all the people who were trying to kill Trump and Charlie Kirk, and um, you see what's in their heads now. And the book just, I don't know, the book kind of became too real to me, I guess. John, if you don't put sour cream in your scrambled eggs or season them with Lawry's, then you're wrong. Oh, boy, that sounds awful. Lawry's is steak seasoning and sour cream, just a flavor profile that doesn't match at all with eggs. You can tell that Felony here is a complete mongrel savage. You got to remember that Felony Melanie is from Iowa. This is a state where they put chili on cinnamon rolls. She's not to be trusted food wise. Like, yeah, you could probably, hand her your purse or your wallet while you go to the bathroom or something, but if she's ordering for you in a restaurant, just do not do it. John, I like a fried egg. Thank you for letting me know. Dear John, I like a fried egg. I just like the fact that he wanted me to read that on the air. Make sure that I read that part. I'm a sucker with anyone who calls me sweetie. I tell you, I don't know anything about you in terms of your demographics. So I'm only going to talk about me. I'm going to tell you that as a white guy, we love it when we eat at a restaurant and a black lady calls us sweetie. Oh, we love it. I went to Waffle House when I was in North Carolina for the failure to stop thing in 2023 or whatever it was. Went to Waffle House. Whole place is being run by a crew of hardworking, excellent black people. I mean, welcome to North Carolina. It's just something we don't have here in the upper Midwest. And I'm not thrown off by it. I'm from Virginia. I'm totally used to it. But what I'm not used to is being called sweetie by a black lady. And I just felt so loved. I know that it's just her, it's just her way. She doesn't want to say sir. So she says sweetie instead. But I'm just like, I'm leaving you $10 for a tip just because you called me sweetie. I don't know why it works. It's a bigger psyop than the judging the books by the cover thing. Anyone who calls me a boss, I immediately do not like. I like calling my boss boss. I don't call anyone else boss, really. I was at my dad's house working last Monday. I missed the live. Oh, is that where you were? I wondered. Jonathan, it pertained to your sandwiches. DM it. It was for you, duh. Sorry. I know, but sorry. There's so many messages here. And I'm looking at all of them all at once, and I stop and I do the memes, and then I come into 24 messages, and it's like, well, which ones am I reading? Because sometimes you guys just talk back and forth to each other, and I don't need to read all of those. John, I'm a white woman, super boring. What do you mean super boring? Why is that boring? Tell you, you've been made to feel boring, but guess what? There's no shame or boredom in being a white person. White people are very interesting. We've done some great things. We built the Parthenon. We went to the moon. Okay. I don't know about your personal accomplishments, but culturally, white people have done amazing things. So you can go ahead and just be proud of yourself. There's no reason to be ashamed. Other cultures they're allowed to be proud of themselves too. Polynesians can be proud of being the first sailors. Arabs can be proud of discovering astronomy. Good for them. What's the problem? You can be proud of your own, of who you are. And there's nothing boring about being white. Or they call us honey. Yeah, I like being called honey too. Sweetie, honey, interchangeably. I love both of those things. When I worked at Walmart, I had a black lady sing happy birthday because I worked on my birthday. Right? I mean, it was a sweet thing because it was your birthday, but could you imagine the unbridled insanity of someone singing you happy birthday on a day on which it was not your birthday? Can you even imagine that? I can. Oh, yes, I wish romantic attraction was real. But it is the stuff of fiction. Yeah, I have sex. And by that, I mean several car batteries, extremely ready to go to the ocean, and also a xylophone. Yeah, I have sex. Several car batteries, extremely ready to go to the ocean, and a xylophone. You're alien overlord. For your punishment, you'll be forced to drink 100 beers. Holy shit. Wait, is there like a time limit or something? No, just drink them all at some point. No, don't do this, alien overlords. No. The worst punishment you could give me is drinking 100 beers eventually. Lots to think about. Okay, maybe for you, you're probably a level 1 thinker. Personally, I've already thought of everything. Does that sound like me? It kind of does, a little bit. I remember one time I was talking about, one of my coworkers was talking we were just talking about, stargazing and how, fun that can be and how I've always been a stargazer since I was a little boy. Last night I'm driving home and it's -15, and all I can think about is how beautiful the sky is when it's that cold because there's no moisture in the air at all, and you can see all the stars where I live and the moon. The first quarter moon last night setting as I was driving home over the horizon, absolutely beautiful. But I was talking about constellations, and she says to me, "You know, when I'm standing in my kitchen, I can look out the window and I can see Orion." And I go, Orion. Well, I guess that's a very intro to constellations constellation, but I will be looking at Sagittarius. You know, I'm like pompous about which constellations I look at. Yeah, Orion's pretty great, but have you ever seen Leo? You know, like I'm being I'm being snobbish about which constellations I look at, and that Orion is such a basic constellation. It's like, you know, it's a constellation for it's the one that God made up for 5-year-olds. I guess if you're into that, that's fine. You know, lots to think about. Okay, maybe for you, you're probably just a level 1 thinker. Personally, I have already thought of everything. Willy Wonka was a New Yorker. He'd be like, "Hey, I'm wonking here." So dumb, and yet so good. "Hey, I'm wonking here." When playing chess, according to Benny Feldman, one of the most devastating moves your opponent can play is the dreaded checkmate. This pretty much fucks you. Yeah, if they decide to make that play, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, in my mind, I'm not that good at chess, to be honest with you. You've heard me say on this channel before that I don't like chess because it's all gambling. It all just depends on what pieces you get at the beginning. But I'm not that good at chess. But I will say that I think the checkmate is sort of a cowardly play. I think if you have to do the checkmate to win, you're probably not that much of a chess player either. Oh my God, you remembered. Yes, I have a file on you, and I am criminally insane. I used to be this way in high school where I was really anxious all the time. And I was a listener and I was an observer. I was kind of like hyper vigilant. So I would learn things about all the people around me who were just talking to each other. And I would sit there quietly, um, just absorbing facts and data on people. And then at some point, you know, when I kind of came out of my shell and I would talk to them, I would make reference of something that I overheard them say once, and they would like be put off by that. I'm like, well, I've recorded every word that you said for the past 200 days. So, fuck, that guy's groceries are way cooler than mine. I'll never be like that guy. If only I could get groceries like what he has. Watching an old person struggling with a jar and then saying, "Allow me," and then tightening it even more. I would do this, but not to an old person. Dude, can you stop being consumed by the darkness for 5 fucking seconds and deal with the situation at hand? By the way, this penguin thing going on, I love it. Um, Survival's insufficient. You know what I mean? Absolutely 0 beers in. Hey, do you guys think I'm redeemable? Can you wait till we drink some beers before you ask that question? Deleting dating apps on my phone so I can find love the old-fashioned way. Had a Narcan training. That's how Grandpa used to do it. Couldn't find love at school, work, or church. Well, did you go to Narcan training? There's bound to be someone there that will love you. Got CTE from playing peekaboo, says medieval coworker during the Black Plague. Yeah, there's definitely something going around. Definitely. 1 out of every 3 people are dying. There's something's happening. Was the lead character unlikable? Did you find them hard to root for? Well, you're no prize yourself. I'll say that much. You think I'm rooting for you? You're just a side character in my story. You're very hard to root for. Banger? I hardly know myself these days. Don't worry, man. We can probably Photoshop the deep and enduring sadness out of your eyes later. Yeah, just go over that with a filter. They won't be able to see that the light has left you. Hi, sharks. Unveiling a wired detonator in my sweaty palm. Today I'm here to usher us all into paradise. Sharks are terrifying. I recently asked ChatGPT to show me what it would look like if a great white shark was attacking a passenger aircraft in the air. I got to tell you, that was the most terrifying thing I could ever conceive. It was really, truly awful. It was truly terrible. If you want to martyr yourself to get rid of the sharks, I guess I'm all for it. Listen, I don't have time for whatever the fuck this means. All day astronomy posts. Copenhagen physicists assert that reality responds to human choices in reverse. What? Are you saying that the universe is adversarial? Like stuff sucks and is hard because of the choices we make? What? Copenhagen physicists assert that reality responds to human choices in reverse. And this is a matter of physics, not philosophy. Okay. Copenhagen, take a day off. Living in one of those glowing red tubes in the Matrix now seems kind of nice. No responsibility. You get a free tube, free goo. They kill you. Seems kind of nice. I don't know. At least being a battery would give me some sort of purpose. Stop asking, is everything okay? And start asking, is anything okay? Should I ask that of people? Is anything okay? It's not. By the way, you don't have anger issues. It's everybody around you that's making you angry. That's the problem, and you should eliminate them. I will be seeking a second therapist this week. I have a phone call later today to make sure my insurance is eligible, and then I will talk to this person tomorrow on the phone to see if I am eligible for therapy. No, this is not replacing my old therapist who had a stroke. She's back online. This is even more therapy. I need a team of people to deal with the mess that is me. This time, while signing up for services, I selected the filter anger management. So I hope that we will finally get to the root of my issues. I loved growing up with the internet in the early 2000s. I played Flash games. I took care of Neopets. I saw a beheading video when I was 12. I made friends on MySpace. The Daniel Pearl thing, that was pretty rough. Back then, there was really no guardrails on anything. You just saw whatever it is that you saw. Did parents in the 70s, 80s, 90s really allow their kids to roam freely, or is that just a portrayal that we saw in the movies? It was absolutely real. I can remember summers as a kid. I would leave the house around 10 a.m. I wouldn't come back till sunset, which in the summertime is 12 hours later. An unreported reason why people are having fewer and fewer kids. They're now expected to watch them 24/7. At least in the summer, my mom got 10 plus hours a day free from me while I was crawling around in the ditches. And it absolutely is an expectation. Do you have any idea how often I get calls from people? People dialing the police, calling the non-emergency number for the police. Yeah, there's unsupervised children outside at the playground. So, well, I just think they ought to be supervised. Why? What are they doing? Are they hurting each other? No. Okay, so you're calling the police because kids are outside having fun? Yeah, there's some kids riding the bikes on my street and they don't have any helmets on. I just think that's really unsafe. When did the wusses take over the world, Or they're just like, yeah, I see some kids in the courtyard of my apartment complex and no one is with them. Okay. It's a really nice day outside. Kids want to be outside. You hope. What is the problem? Are they bothering you? No. And yet you are inside your apartment looking at the window at these children. You seem kind of like a creep to me. I should always turn it back on them. I'm like, so let me get this straight. There's children are outside. They don't have a parent with them. And you are an adult and you're watching these children. You're observing them through your window. Should I turn it around on them? Yeah, we'll see how that one works out for me. Select all the images with sandwiches. Boy, how philosophical do you want to get? In a way, they're all sandwiches. Am I right? Let's see what the chat says. When I go outside, I do watch the kids and make sure nothing bad is going on. As long as they play nice, that's all I care about. But do you allow your children to go outside without you? Folksy, I assume you're old enough to have come from the 90s. Did you go outside without parental supervision? I did. I turned out fine. I was going to say, I feel like we are all going to get a different call if you are watching them. Pizza can become a sandwich. I think it's already a sandwich. Again, no one is leaving messages for me. Oh, there's one. John, I was thinking about quitting therapy for a while. My 40-year-old therapist doesn't understand why 1970s style. He doesn't understand 1970s style brainwashing. The 70s were different. John, we are your therapy. And yet, not very therapeutic at all. John, the ever ready bunny. Yep. That apropos of nothing that I can think of at the moment. So I don't know why you said that, but yes. Dead legs here. Had my spinal surgery late last year and still slowly recovering. Oh, he's saying Happy New Year, John. Happy New Year to Dead leg. Dead leg, I don't know if you ever watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, but like there's a window after which you can't say Happy New Year anymore. And by the time you're at the 26th of January, you shouldn't be saying that anymore. Sorry. Sorry, but your kind greeting is out of order. John, you said you should be a battery. I thought, oh, right. Yes, the Matrix thing. Thank you for bringing it home. Sorry, Jonathan. I am putting groceries away and starting my meal prep for the week since I wasn't home yesterday. Yes, we all had a busy yesterday. Let's round out the day. What do you say? Doctor, are you sexually active? No, I usually just lie there. Doctor, writing in my chart, effortlessly witty and quite beautiful, I might add. And this by Dr. Alex Grease, no less. So was that something that happened? You have to wonder. In the USA, it is proper etiquette to ask the person, would they prefer dying before calling an ambulance? Because ambulances are expensive. That is proper etiquette here in the United States. In Canada, it's proper etiquette to just call the ambulance, even knowing that no one will ever come, because that's Canadian healthcare for you. Forget it. It's just not even going to fucking happen. In Canada, you'll ask the person, do you want to live? And they'll say yes. And then some Canadian authority will come by and kill them. So that's Canada. They should sell a beer with one cigarette attached to it the way a straw is attached to a juice box. You know what I'm talking about, the little Hi-C box that we all had when we were kids. Ecto Cooler if you were lucky. Orange if you weren't, although I did like the orange. Just a little cigarette just kind of glued on there with a little bit of tacky glue. I already played that one, guys. Ozempic? Try Marlboro. Prozac? Try Miller Lite. Ironically, Miller Lite has alcohol in it, which would make it classified as a depressant and probably not good for depression. Adderall, try White Monster. There's always a natural alternative to everything. When I die, my friends are allowed to take a bone or two from my corpse. I think we all know who is looking to do that. Please tell me you get the joke. When I die, friends of mine will be able to take a bone or two from my corpse. I'm not getting nearly the response I was hoping for with this one. I literally saw this meme and I made this to go with it. I'm getting zero response. That's all right. I sent it to Andrea and Andrea loved it. So I guess that will have to be enough. You know, every 911 dispatcher comes off as an asshole on tape. I think this is the foundational truth of Comm Center. This is what we're always trying to discuss. This is what I'm thinking about making a video about, emotional dissonance with 911 dispatchers. Please help. My husband's been shot in the face. Ma'am, I need you to calm down. I'm sorry, his face exploded and I don't know what to do. Ma'am, please, I need you to shut the fuck up. That is how it sounds. But we really do need you to shut the fuck up when your husband's face explodes, okay? It's not too much to ask for. He's already being quiet, I'm sure. Can you please do the same? Mommy, I found your old Barbie doll. Can I keep it? Oh, sure, sweetie. It's all yours. Dad, I found this in your room. Throw it in the ocean, son. And it's not just throwing in the ocean. You've got to say something with it. I like a nice back from whence you came. I heave it off the end of the pier. Confuses people, but you know, it'll with that emotion back from whence you came, it allows you to throw the battery even farther and harder into the ocean because batteries are heavy. Now through your Xfinity wireless Wi-Fi plan, you can use Wi-Fi signals to detect motion in your house at no extra cost. So you can start detecting motion in minutes without relying on motion sensors or cameras. Just the Wi-Fi. I apologize to all my local schizophrenics. I wasn't really familiar with your game. Apparently, this entire time, you could use Wi-Fi to detect motion in your house. I guess they were right. Probably should go ahead and put on the foil hat now. John, you said you could be a battery. Dad, like, John, I thought it might be therapeutic, but you could keep coming back and we actually pay you. Some of you do. Lauren pays me. Others do not pay me. So it's the wrong attitude, right? To be like, well, I think about how many people don't pay me because of the few who do. Is that dark siding? Am I looking at the dark side of things? Kind of. I've never had White Monster, believe it or not. John, you know what is depressing? Going through your mom's possessions, who passed almost 2 years ago. It feels like an invasion of privacy. Yeah, there's a part of all of us, a private part that we don't share with any other human being. Friends, parents, siblings, spouses, whatever. There's a part of you in your life that is solely yourself. In a way, John Donne was a chump. He said, no man is an island. Well, to you, John Donne, famous poet, shut up, chump. We're all islands. We're all completely alone. In all the ways that really matter, in our most quiet and private and darkest moments, we're completely alone. You chump, John Donne. Why would John Donne even say no man is an island? What the hell? Have you not met other people, John Donne? Anyway, we're all an island. We're all private. There's also some inner piece of us we don't share with someone else, and there's usually some physical or personal artifact that speaks to that part of your identity, which is totally unknown to anyone else on Earth. And when you die, someone's going to be cleaning out your space, and they're going to come across that. And what does it say about you? Something. There's an untold. Everyone has a final untold story that gets revealed in a moment of silence. When someone else is packing up your things. So try not to have that thing be super embarrassing, I guess is my only advice. I'm guessing most of the time that it is. That's why it was private. Oh, life's such a joke. When we talking about humidifiers in the dog park or hiking the desert, feel free, feel your tally, but you guys are talking to each other. John, can you explain the bone meme? I thought it was the lady who got preggers from the dead guy. All right, Lauren. So I said, when I die, my friends are allowed to take a bone or two from my corpse. This is a pastiche of the anxious or looking forward to something happening black guy meme. And pasted thereupon is a altered image of an enthusiastic Andrea up late. Andrea was well known from Failure to Stop, which is the podcast from which I came as well. She hosted a show called Night Shift, and Andrea was well known because whilst walking on the beach in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, she came across a human bone. It was a skull or something super recognizable as human. You know, it wasn't one of your basic bones, a phalange, a femur, or something. It was a human bone. And rather than call the proper authorities, the police, the medical examiner's office, she decided, finders, keepers, losers, weepers. She collected this human bone and she took it to her house and she stored it like improperly for some time, like on her porch or something. And it took on an atrocious smell, this human bone she collected. And she would talk about this, and me, along with all of her friends, would implore her, please do the right thing. Please stop inviting this curse upon your house and your family lineage by trafficking in human bones that's screaming out from the grave for rest. Really don't like the fact that you're walking around with someone's finger in your purse. I even did like a small amount of research and discovered that like someone had disappeared on a boat in that area prior to her finding that finger, and it was really likely that you had a human bone, and it smelled really bad. And when I went out there to North Carolina, we were at a restaurant, a really nice restaurant, by the way, really nice seafood restaurant, really top of the line. She pulled it out of her purse, and it was in a Ziploc bag, and we were signing autographs at that point for I don't know, stuff that I don't think we ever distributed, pictures and stuff. And I took her bag with a bone on it and I wrote human bones on it. And so that's the joke, that if, when I die, one of my friends are allowed to take a bone or two from my corpse, that it's Andrea up late from the podcast Night Shift with Andrea up late, that she is the one. She is the one who will be looking to confiscate a bone from you. I guess some people forgot that. You got to remember, I don't really talk to her so much anymore. So the last memory I have of her is related to the human bones. John, where did you expect her to pull out the bone finger? Where else? I don't know. I don't know why it happened. I will never go through my parents' possession because I am the black sheep. Yep, same for me. When my parents die, I'm not going to be going through that. John, can you explain the bone mean? Well, I guess I did that. And I think Salamander and probably Foxy and Deadleg, if he's still here, they remember that. Probably. Maybe Tyler. But that's it for the memes. Thank you to everybody who watched today. That's the end of the show. You may now all go on to your own lives or your own separate podcasts or whatever's important to you the rest of the day. Chase remembers. Thank God. So glad somebody remembers. I made that fucking thing just for you, those few people who remember. I remember Andrea with the absconder of human remains. Okay. I do. It just didn't look like Andrea to me. Well, I have news for you. That is literally a picture of Andrea. I don't know. You never really saw it. See, the thing is, on the show, she would always show off her shoulders. Here, she's wearing a yellow blazer. Other than that, there's really no difference. You say that doesn't look like Andrea? That's literally her Facebook profile photo. So if you say it doesn't look like her, it is her, whether you like it or not. I mean, I said it to her and she laughed. So she obviously thought that it looked like her. I didn't connect the dots until you said something. All right. So you guys needed the shoulders to get it. All right. She does an amazing job at true crime. You know who is better at true crime than her? Me and Kendra. Just something to think about. We really took that whole concept and knocked it out of the park. I remember that, but it don't look like her. Well, according to Andrea, it does look like her. Do you know why it does? You think it doesn't look like her? It's because I changed her expression to match the meme. She was just smiling real big like the black guy is in the meme. That's her. Whether you like it or not, that's Andrea. She got it. I sent it to Andrea and she said, that's me. That looks like me. She got it. So sorry to all of you people who didn't get it, but even Andrea got it. So whatever. I'm never doing custom made stuff for you again. You guys never appreciate it. Wrong. Okay. Well, whatever. I'm the one that sent it to her. Thanks to everybody who watched the show. Thanks to Lauren. Thanks to Salamander. Thanks to Foxy. Thanks to Tyler and Chase and Abby, who was here earlier, and Jenny and Taliu, and everyone who's here. Elijah, probably. Deadleg, he was here briefly just to tell me 26 days too late. Happy New Year. Michael Hendricks, Shorty, who I'm sure will be waking up soon. Thanks for watching the show today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I mean, if you're not getting something out of this, I mean, my God, why do we keep doing this? But all right, everyone, have a great day. We will see you back here. I don't know. Drew never did his Uvalde thing this weekend, so he's in full blown manic depressive mode where he feels super energized and motivated, but then the next day he wakes up and he feels nothing inside. So we'll see what we can do about having a show this week. We'll try. Somehow we've come to the end of ourselves. I don't know what to tell you. All right, guys, have a good week. Stay safe. Don't fight ice. And make good decisions, and we'll catch you back here soon.